Do you get those Mountain Dew commercials or whatever before the do in front of movie theaters? Or, I'm sorry, movie screenings.
Well, I try not to get there too early, so I usually miss the commercials.
But you know the do, the guy that has the long hair and the glasses and the fur coat, and he's like, "Get off your ass," that guy. Do you know what I call that guy?
What do you call him?
I call him Jason Momoa, as in like fake Jason Momoa, because I feel like Jason Momoa should sue that guy. Like he's directly ripping off like his likeness. It's just ridiculous.
Yes,
time for Watch Skip Plus. Here we go.
Here we go.
Hey, you want to watch some TV or something?
Skip it. Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Nothing but foul language and toilet humor.
I'm disgusted and repulsed and I can't look away.
I need these things! I need these things! Tell me, do you wanna go? We're stopping on the color line. Oh, no way, Jose. This just in, go to hell!
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
Hello, friends and listeners. You got Watch Skip Plus, a movie review podcast with a lifestyle twist. That twist is we do a bonus review, a lifestyle review on anything at the end of our movie review. Feed us subscriptions. Like Seymour says in Little Shop of Horrors, feed me. Feed me, Seymour. Feed me all night long.
I thought
it's been a while since I've said feed me. Well, that's a different YouTube channel, folks. But at any rate, I am Cupcake, also known as Jose. I'm joined by my co-host, Will DeBeast, who's still waking up, unfortunately.
Yeah, we record early. Gosh, you can see I look like I'm 92 years old. Welcome to Crypt Keeper.
Please,
y'all.
You look just fine.
Again, well, I'm wearing my Suspiria.
I love it. OG Suspiria. Although, fun fact, Madam Web is in the remake of Suspiria. Dakota Johnson. Yes. She's in the remake of Suspiria by Luca Guadagnino, and it's really good. I know people.
I haven't seen it yet.
I know people shat on it, but you should get it in your eyeballs. It's really good.
I wanted to wait and see it with my daughter, who's actually a trained dancer, because I thought that maybe she'd like to see that, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe I'll see it eventually.
Speaking of trained dancers, what are we reviewing? I'm doing my Tchaikovsky.
We are watching From the World of John Wick, Ballerina.
Oh, you just had to get in that From the World of John. Okay, so the reason why that exists, folks, the From the World of John Wick is, believe it or not, this is the second spin-off for the series, John Wick 1 through 4. John Wick 4, The Final Reckoning. Wait, that's not what it's called. Anyway, we were promised that was the end of John Wick, and apparently they're doing another one. There's never a Final Reckoning, as you know, but the previous spinoff was the Peacock miniseries, The Continental, From the World of John Wick. Did you ever happen to catch that?
Nope.
I didn't either. It had a really attractive cast. It was a prequel because it follows the Winston character, who is in this film as well. Ian McShane is in all the other John Wick movies, but it's a prequel where he becomes the owner and sort of manager of the Continental. I think Mel Gibson was in it too. And then the character Charon, played by Lance Reddick, rest in peace, was sort of like Mel Gibson's surrogate son. Question mark? Why would you cast Mel Gibson and have a black actor be his surrogate son? Okay, we're just going to wipe the slate and move on at this point. All right, here we go. Ballerina, From the World of John Wick, or maybe it's reversed. I have no idea. I'm going to start below the line. Let's start with the fact that this is produced by a studio called Thunder Road. And maybe Thunder Road ran into a tiny bit of problem because the film that we reviewed, Fight or Flight, was actually produced by them. And I believe what ended up happening was one of the posters said something like, from the producer of John Wick. Now, mind you, that's incorrect because there are multiple producers on John Wick, but to say that Thunder Road was the only producer, so I think you can't even find posters that say that anymore. Much like when I Know What You Did Last Summer came out, it said from the creator of Scream. Well, actually, Kevin Williamson only wrote the screenplay. And so those posters and commercials had to be pulled back. So this is from Thunder Road. That is the studio founded by Basil Iwanik, Iwanyk. Look him up. He's super hot because he's Ukrainian. But that studio is behind the John Wick films. They've also produced a lot of Taylor Sheridan's films and series, including Yellowstone. They produced Boondock Saints, the Clash of the Titans remakes. And another producer on this is Chad Stahelski. I think that's how you pronounce it. I was saying Stelski, like Polish Stelski, taking out the A, but I think it's Stahelski. Go to Stahelski. But he's... So Chad Stahelski, he is a longtime stunt double for Keanu Reeves, but he, with David Leitch, founded 8711 Action Design. I have spooged all over 8711 because I love them. When we talk about action design, which is now becoming part of the Oscars, yay, action design is your stunt coordination, fight choreography, fight training, all of that. And 8711, they started as sort of a previs action coordination, action design outfit. And then David Leitch went on to direct Atomic Blonde, Bullet Train, the recent The Fall Guy, which I loved, and nobody saw it, and it's such a good movie. I thought it was.
It's so good. I loved it so much.
So good. You were shaking your head, and I was like, oh my God, he's going to let loose on how awful The Fall Guy is.
I think it's so much fun.
Oh, good. And of course, Chad Stahelski, he's directed all of the John Wick films. He's been attached to a bunch of fun sort of like projects. I'm eagerly awaiting his next project. I think at one point he was attached to the Highlander reboot. I don't know if he is anymore. I'm not sure. But nonetheless, our director is Len Wiseman, also a hottie because he used to be married to Kate Beckinsale. They divorced in, I want to say after 14 years, 2019. Nonetheless, she starred in his two biggest films. One of his biggest films, Underworld. And then I believe Wiseman directed the sequel and then produced some of the other sequels as well. And then the notorious remake of Total Recall with Colin Farrell, also starred Kate Beckinsale. Good action, but not a great movie. In fact, it's so bad, it's one of my favorites to rewatch. I've probably seen it like 10 times. There's really good fight scenes in it. Wiseman also had the unenviable task of directing the fourth Die Hard film, Live Free or Die Hard. And I think that's where people divert on whether they like Len Wiseman or not. We should say that he's a little bit of a pilot series whisperer. He directed the pilot for Hawaii Five-0 with Alex O'Loughlin. That was the reboot of that, and Scott Kahn. He created and directed the pilot for Sleepy Hollow, directed the pilot for Lucifer and Swamp Thing. So again, almost like David Nutter, who is sort of like the legendary pilot series whisperer. Wiseman also owns the production company Sketch Films. Our writer is Shay Hatton. Let's start with the fact that Derek Kolstad, who, by the way, if you look up his picture, he looks a lot like Enrico Colantini. Do you know that actor from Veronica Mars and like Galaxy Quest? Anyway,
that's familiar.
Derek Kolstad.
I'm sure you'll show the picture now.
Of course, but Derek Kolstad looks a lot like Enrico Colantini. I feel like they could be brothers. But Kolstad wrote the screenplays and created the characters John Wick. I think he wrote two and 3, didn't write 4. But Shay Hatton jumped on and wrote for the writing team for John Wick 3 and then John Wick 4. This film actually takes place in between 3 and 4. We'll talk about how that's a little crucial, but Hatton is actually from Moscow, Idaho, folks, not Moscow, Russia. He studied at Loyola Marymount School of Film and Television. He actually wrote a spec script. Spec script means I'm just writing it, folks, and whoever likes it can buy it. But he wrote a spec script that made the 2016 Blacklist. I am so interested to see this. It is a biopic about Stephen King's directorial effort, Maximum Overdrive, and the sort of behind-the-scenes drama. So, again, it made the Blacklist. The Blacklist is a annual list of basically agencies who read all of these scripts and decide like who to cast, what to make as a production. The Blacklist every year, it's like those outstanding scripts. Google it, folks. It's fun. But he wrote another spec script called Ballerina, which was purchased by Lionsgate in 2017. And it has been, much like the Die Hard script for Die Hard with a Vengeance, it has been retrofitted to fit into the John Wick universe. So yay, they brought on Shay to basically touch up his script and make it fit the John Wick universe. He also has written a lot of Zack Snyder films. So we're looking at Army of Thieves, Army of the Dead, and the Rebel Moon series. So you'd think he's my favorite screenwriter of all time, right? Because I love Zack Snyder. He is also attached to Zach Kreger's Resident Evil reboot as the screenwriter. Our music is by Tyler Bates and Joel J. Richard. I keep talking about Googling people, but I'm just, I'm going to flash a picture up. But basically, Tyler Bates looks like Michael Bay, and he, in fact, is the Michael Bay of film score composing. We will maybe sidestep the fact that a couple of his works have been accused of adapting the better works of some legendary composers. He's had a couple instances like that. However, he does work frequently with Zack Snyder and James Gunn and Rob Zombie. Bates has actually performed in several rock bands, and he's on the touring studio member. He's a member of the touring studio for Jerry Cantrell, who was the lead guitarist for Alice in Chains. And Bates and Richard actually scored the first John Wick in conjunction with Marilyn Manson. And then we've got our DP, Roman LaCorbis. He is a Gemini, and he is born in Paris, France. He's a member of both the ACS and the AFC. If you don't know those acronyms, Google them. Best known for his streaming work for lensing Netflix's Marco Polo and then The Witcher, as well as Prime's 000, which is actually pretty damn good. I don't think people talk about that. It's so good. Check it out. He's also been the DP for Olivier Megaton's Taken 2 and Columbiana. Those are very similar to this film, so there are your comps in some ways. He's also been a B camera operator on several films, including Megaton's Transporter 3 and other action films from France. A couple people I want to shout out. Our second unit director is Darren Prescott. He is an action director as well. He was one of the Hugo Weaving stunt doubles in the Matrix sequels. So not only is he a seasoned stuntman, but he has turned to action direction, is what we're calling stunt coordination now. He has done second unit recently on G20. That was the Prime series, and Madam Web, one of my favorite films. He also did double duty, second unit and stunt coordination on Marvel films like both of the Black Panther films, Black Widow, Wick Chapter 2 and 3, and then won a lot of acclaim for Bourne Supremacy. And he's done action direction for things like Red Dawn and Baby Driver. Baby Driver, pretty fucking awesome. The other two people I want to shout out are Jeremy Marinas. First of all, he's Filipino represent, but Marinas goes all the way back to being one of the prime fight coordinator, choreographers, and stunt coordinators for 8711. I fell in love with this guy watching his action reels on 87's website when they first got big. But he is a stunt coordinator and fight coordinator for films like Beekeeper, and then the Jason Statham action sequences on Fast X. Apparently, they work together really well. He has stunt coordinated and fight coordinated films like Silent Night, Prey, the Predator reboot with directed by Dan Trachtenberg, Sweet Girl, and then Gemini Man. He first came to fame with his action coordination and fight choreography for Killer Elite, which also starred Jason Statham, and then a film called Close Range with Scott Adkins. Wow. If you love fights and action, check out Close Range with Scott Adkins. It is a classic, folks. And then the other person I want to spotlight is Jackson Spidell. He's also one of the coordinators here. He is one of Keanu Reeves' John Wick stunt doubles. He stunt coordinated Blue Beetle and then fight coordinated films like Red Notice and Tenet. The fight team on this film, they've all worked together and worked on some of the biggest projects ever. Oh, I should also mention Jackson Spidell doubles Ryan Reynolds, and he doubled him in Deadpool 2, which was directed by David Leitch. So they all know each other. They all work with each other. They're all top of the line. Love them. That is below the line. Let's go to you for cast. Who do we got in this spinoff?
Okay, the rumored dating Tom Cruise, that is Ana de Armas, I believe is how you say her name. She's from Cuba. In her teens, she did an early film in Cuba and then moved to Spain where she did television. She actually got her first big American role in Knock Knock with Keanu Reeves. That's an Eli Roth film. That's also it's a remake. And then they went on to do another film, the not so good Exposed. That was with Keanu Reeves again. She went on to do War Dogs, Blade Runner. And then, of course, most of us really came to know her because of Knives Out. I thought she was that's probably her best role for me. I've never sat through her abused version of Marilyn Monroe and Blonde. I just don't know if I could ever sit through that. I did see her.
She was actually not bad in that. She was not bad in Blonde. Yeah.
Ghosted. She's actually pretty good in that. Ghosted is bad, and so is she's in The Gray Man as well. And yeah, I'm not quite sold on her yet. And this movie really doesn't sell me on her.
Spoiler alert. But we should also mention she stole the effing show in No Time to Die. I trained for 3 weeks for this. And I think a lot of us, especially after that scene stealing turn in No Time to Die, were like, why isn't she in more action films? And unfortunately, she followed that up with Ghosted, which it did not land on anybody's radar as a must-see. But I'm happy to see her in this. I will also note, I watched Deep Water, and that was Adrian Lyne's return to filmmaking. It was a Hulu direct with Ben Affleck. I didn't know that was based on a Patricia Highsmith novel. Patricia Highsmith created the Ripley character. So The Talented Mr. Ripley, the Netflix show. She wrote that. She also wrote Strangers on a Train, famously adapted by Alfred Hitchcock. I didn't realize that. And it makes sense when you think about the plot of Deepwater. But man, was that movie a slog to get through. Armas and Affleck, I think they were like, okay, who can act the worst in this? And they're pretty much neck and neck.
They were not good in that at all.
Ooh, it's a train wreck. Yeah.
Let's go on to somebody who, while he's sweet as can be, he's not really known as being the best actor in the world. Let's talk about our fun-loving Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves actually was born in Hawaii. His father is of Hawaiian and Chinese ancestry. His mother is British. That's where he gets his good looks. He's very attractive.
Not the Hawaiian. Not the Hawaiian or Chinese. Let me tell you.
No, all mixed together. That's where they.
Yeah, I know. It's beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, he's a really attractive man, and he's known as being very, very friendly. I mean, he's kind of infamously known as being one of the good guys in Hollywood. So.
Oh yeah,
it's rare that someone who's been, a franchise star like him to be known as such a nice guy. So Keanu Reeves, while his friendliness is more so than his acting, he has been in quite a few films. Back in it was at River's End, I think. Was
River's Edge.
Did,
Yeah.
River's Edge. And then I infamously had a Babes in Toyland from 85 or 86 VHS that I saw as a child that he was in. That's
With
really
Drew
where
Barrymore.
I remember him. Yes.
And Bill and Ted, of course.
Yeah,
Oh.
then you go to Bill and Ted, and then that's really when, and I love his turn in Parenthood. He's so good at that in that role. I mean, those early roles are just so much fun, and he just has a presence to him. What people say, he can't really act. He's a whatever, but he has a presence to him, and he does have kind of. I don't know if you call it the it factor, but he really does have the it factor. So yeah, he's created the John Wick series for what it is. But he's kind of hit or miss on some of his roles, but I'm a fan. I'm looking forward to the new one that he's doing with Aziz Ansari. That's a trailer I got in front of this where he plays it.
Yeah, I got that too. Yeah, it looks good.
So I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Keanu.
I believe Keanu. There's some discussion about how you pronounce his name, actually. Yeah, but I believe it's Keanu. But it means cool breeze over the mountain in Hawaiian, which I feel like that just says everything about him, quite honestly. And I'm gonna say this: people that think he can't act, I'm looking at The Lake House, Sweet November, A Walk in the Clouds, The Devil's Advocate. I mean, I think people underestimate his acting ability. So I don't know, that is The Replacements, Hardball. You mentioned Hardball before about how it makes you cry. Yeah, he's great. He's absolutely great.
And of course, he's awesome in Speed. I mean, come on, that's where I mean, so screw the haters. I'm a fan. Let's go on to some of the great, man, this film is full of some great character actors. So let's go on to Ian McShane. He has been acting since the 60s with well over 100 acting performances, but I think he's most well known for Al Swearingen in Deadwood, as well as Blackbeard in Pirates of the Caribbean. He plays a demented Santa in an episode of American Horror Story that I'll never forget. He's really awesome in that. Whenever Ian McShane shows up, he elevates the material. He elevates this. He's hilarious when he needs to be hilarious in the movie Hot Rod. He is so funny in that. So he is one of those character actors that takes anything that he's given and elevates it above and beyond what it should be. So I'm a huge fan of Ian McShane's. You can look up his filmography, man. The guy's got 100+ films, and I guarantee you've seen him in several, as well as a lot of TV work, which is where he got his start. Is a lot of television work. What about you? What really stands out from his filmography for you?
All of the ones that you've mentioned, basically. I mean, he's great. I mean, I'm a little sad to see that he has an elevated matrimony, because he has like 3 wives. He's had 3 wives. But no, you're right. He's one of the few actors. He reminds me of like Brian Cox in some ways, because if he's going to show up, it's like, oh, hold the phone, folks. Here comes the performance. And he has a particular delivery. I mean, I don't know. I expect him to be hawking like Dairy Queen shakes at any moment, with his singular voice as well. But anywho, who else we got in the cast?
Well, let's go on to Angelica Houston, born July 8, 1951, to director and actor John Huston. That is where she got her start, was working with her father in some roles in the 60s. What is there to say about the wonderful Angelica Houston? For me, it all starts and kind of ends with Witches. That's when I really, as a child, I saw her in that, and that role is just phenomenal. To me, I still think it's one of her best roles. I do love her in Prizzi's Honor. I also, get a kick out of her in pretty much everything that I've seen her in. But yeah, she's just got a presence to her from that nobody can really deny. Of course, Addams Family, come on.
I know. And then like Ever After, I love her in The Grifters, the adaptation of the Jim Thompson novel. Who directed that? Was that Stephen Frears? I don't know.
can't
Cap's in
remember.
here, but yeah, I love her in Grifters. You know, it's interesting. The Houston family is huge, right? But it's weird. We didn't have the term Nepo baby, but it was certainly whispered about, right? I mean, you
Yep.
know, Houston directing his kids, that kind of thing. But she's really made things her own.
She
Um,
has.
yeah, and I don't know. This is all I'll say about this. I was a little taken aback by her appearance facially in John Wick 3 and how she looks here. But you know, whatever, it is what it is. People are free to age the way that they want to age. I always thought I always thought she had a beautiful, striking look. She's looks a little different now.
Well, her mother was a Russian prima ballerina, so I'm sure that that's kind of part of the reason why she got involved in this. But yeah, she's got striking good looks, and she really, you know, like you said, she's a nepo baby. But I do like a lot of her films, and I think she elevates stuff a lot. So let's go
Yeah.
to another classic stage
Nepo
actor.
baby?
No, I don't know if he's a nepo baby.
No,
but
I don't think he is.
Let's go to Gabriel Byrne. He's an
Love
Irish character actor who has been around. Gosh, again, I think he's been acting since the 60s. I think many of us started recognizing him in the 90s for The Usual Suspects. He plays the man Satan, I believe, in The End of Days, as well as Tom Regan in Miller's Crossing. Plays I mean, just whenever he comes in on the screen, again, another storied classic Hollywood character actor. He just is great in everything, from The Father in Hereditary, and I even think he's actually pretty good in this. He gives one of the few rare good performances in this movie. So I'm a fan of him all the way back to Cool World. And talk about
Oh my
someone who hasn't-
God, Cool World is my jam.
he hasn't aged since Cool World either. He was
I
so
know.
good. So I was like, Gabriel Byrne, he looks exact same as he did 30 years ago. What the hell?
I know. Yeah, I remember him from Cool World, Point of No Return. I was like, how in the world is anybody going to take on Checky Cario's performance in La Femme Nikita? And he kind of made it his own. I adore Gabriel Byrne. The Keep, all the way back to The Keep. Michael Mann's The Keep.
Yes.
So he's so gorgeous. He's beautiful. I love him.
He's great. And now let's go on to another actress that got her start in Sundance, Catalina Sandino Moreno. She got her start in The Maria Full of Grace, which I was there for the premiere. That's one of those films that hits me hard from one of my, I think that was my second Sundance Film Festival. So her performance in that just really blew the festival away. And she has gone on to do a lot of great stuff, from A Most Violent Year to the television show The Bridge. I loved seeing her pop up in this, and I love when she shows up. She never really kind of ended up getting the roles that I thought that she deserved after Maria Full of Grace. So she's only done about 30, 35 shows or stuff, but she's kind of been stuck in television with From, and she was in another, she got stuck in that Silent Night film, which I compare. I'll talk about how I compare Silent Night to this later on.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, yes, I think she's a great actress who needs to be in more films, and she needs more stuff than the small role that she got in this. But I was happy to see her. I really was. Someone who I wasn't happy to see, kind of sick of his greasy face. He plays and looks the same in every damn thing. Norman Reedus, from The Walking Dead to...
Why does everybody...
So
listen, folks, he used to be a male model, but like everybody is always like, oh, he's so greasy and his face looks weird. And folks, he had a baby with Helena I'm sorry, Helena Richardson, the model. Tim Burton had a baby with Helena.
He just has created this shtick since The Walking Dead that he can't get out of. It's like
true.
This long hair, nasty looking face. I don't know. Yes, he's a rugged, charming, good looking kind of guy, but he's just plays the same character that he started playing in The Walking Dead, and pretty much everything. His role in The Bike Riders was just absolutely stupid. And then So whatever you think about Norman Reedus, he shows up in this as well.
Boondock Saints? You're not a fan of Boondock Saints? Blade
Really
2?
not. I think it's
Okay.
trash. I don't like Boondock Saints. And if you watch the documentary about the director, you'll find out why I hate that movie. But anyways, let's go on and let's finish this off on a positive note. R.I.P. to character actor Lance Reddick, who really kind of elevated the franchise John Wick, and I'm so glad that to see him again in this film. I'm really sad that this was the last film he made. I'd love to see him in more stuff, but Lance Reddick once again passed away in 2023, and I think he's just an excellent actor, and yeah, sad to see him go. And I was really glad. I didn't realize that he literally like passed away like right after finishing his scenes in this. So I'm glad that his family get to see him on screen one last time.
So interestingly enough, before we head into our spoiler-free reviews, his appearance in this film has caused a lot of confusion online because people were like, wait a minute, he passed away like over a year ago. And so if anybody remembers, and I remember this reading in the trades, this was supposed to have been released last June, right? And so if you think of the normal cycle of Hollywood productions, right? We've got the filming, which is roughly, I mean, depending on your kind of film, it's either 45 days, less than that if it's an indie, post-production, doing all of that stuff, looping, and then releasing the film. But, and I'm just going to say this because often I don't, other than what I read in the trades, I try not to, this is just me, by the way. I don't know if this is you, Mike, but I try not to read up on movies. Like, I feel like if you read interviews with directors or you read the electronic press kit, I feel like it just like sullies a fresh take on the movie itself. But what I did read in the trades about this film was that it was delayed primarily because the studio may not have liked Len Wiseman's first cut. And so Chad Stahelski, who obviously, who knows better the John Wick franchise than its director and a stunt coordinator, it's alleged, well, it's not alleged, he stepped in and there was additional photography. And apparently this additional photography was done to quote unquote beef up what the studio saw. And so this isn't, I don't believe it's a situation where they were like, you're fired, with Wiseman, but it was apparently lackluster. That, and unfortunately that has sullied my view of this film in some ways too. But we're gonna jump into it right now. Who wants to go first?
You want me to start?
Yeah, I can't wait because
Okay.
I already feel the negative energy radiating from my screen.
Yeah, I fucking hated this movie.
Oh shit!
I hated the shit out of this fucking movie. I hated it, and I don't hate movies. I wanted to leave several times throughout this entire.
Wait, hold on. So you couldn't even vibe out on the action scenes? Like this was.
There's some decent moments, but they all pretty much happen at the end, and some of it is so ridiculous. There's a scene in a club made of ice. What the fuck? Like a club made of ice? That's not real.
Well, hold on. Wait, Mike. Do you not remember Die Another Day, directed by Lee Tamahori? Do you remember the Ice Hotel? It actually exists.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
So this is kind of like the ice. Anyway, continue. Why did you hate this?
Because it only exists for its action scenes, which aren't really great. I mean, what made John Wick work is the first 30 minutes of that film. You care about, you feel for John. You understand why John does what he does. Everything that you're supposed to feel about the ballerina comes from her as a child, from a flashback scene of her as a child. But we don't ever give a shit about her as an adult. Once we get to her as an adult, we see her punishing herself as a ballerina. We see her motivated for what? To get revenge. It's just a basic revenge film. There's nothing more than that. And some of the CGI in this is atrocious. Most of the fights in this are just repetitive. It looks like garbage. It does not look well. The music is a ripoff of all. It's trash. Like I just, this is one of those few films where I just wanted to leave throughout the movie, and I just could not. I couldn't vibe with any of it. I thought that de Armas was absolutely atrocious. I didn't believe any of the fights in her. She's like 4'11", 105 pounds wet. Like even Kate Beckinsale, who doesn't look realistic in her fight scenes, was better than what she did in Underworld than in this. I just did not believe for 1 second that she was this character. She's not believable in this. She's not a strong actress. She's not strong enough to pull this type of character off. It did not work at all. And trying to shoehorn, first and foremost, the first two John Wick movies, I really did dig. But the more and more we get into this stupid, convoluted world of coded tattoos and marks on skin and these super agencies that all work together of assassins, I'm sorry, I hate that world. The more and more that they've built it, the less and less I like it. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. It's as ridiculous as Star Wars and any other piece of fiction. It is just, there's no reality to the film anymore. What started as a really pretty strong, awesome little revenge flick turned into this convoluted mess that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And it did not need to be 2 hours and 6 minutes. I know everyone says that all I do is complain about how long movies are, but this
me too.
This was way too long. It was way too long. Now get to the positives. There's
positives
action. There's some flame throwing action that's pretty freaking cool. I actually, I laughed once with "Can I be frank with you?" and a guy had a thing that said, "My name is Frank." That made me
I love that actor, by the way. He was in the Marvels. I love that guy. He's so adorable.
That little bit made me laugh, and I thought the flamethrowers in the end were cool, but otherwise, this shit show is the worst thing I've watched for this podcast so far. I did not like it at all. Not one.
Oh,
unfortunately. So this is a big stinking steaming skip. A steaming skip. That's a steamer.
Triple S, the SSS wildebeest. Steaming, stinking skip. I love it. I absolutely love it. Do, Jason Momoa. This is bad, right?
I wanted to like it. But and then when we get Keanu Reeves, it's just everything about him is so shoehorned. He can't even save this movie. His dialogue is so awful that he's given. I mean, there's so much bad dialogue throughout this film. But that's what I feel about it. I'm not going to beat a dead horse anymore. I really didn't like this. I thought it was 2 hours of monotony. We've seen all of this done before better, except for some cool flamethrower action, which I haven't quite seen flamethrower versus that water the way that one scene showed. So there's some cool moments, but for the most part, this is dog shit.
Ouch. Okay, so I did not hate this as much as you did. But it is still underwhelming and very disappointing. I agree with you. I think de Armas, unfortunately, this is not her stock in trade. First of all, let me just start with this. I'm gonna go back to Atomic Blonde because
how much better?
The interesting thing about Atomic Blonde, it's one of my favorite films, and I've probably seen it over and over and over. And when you talk about the repetitive action, there's repetitive stunt moves that are repeated a lot in Atomic Blonde. And this is coming from somebody who obsessively watched all of those fight scenes in slow motion. I don't know if you know that. I wanted to be a stunt person. And so when there are these great like martial arts films or action scenes, I love to watch them slow down and watch them do it. John Wick 2, by the way, is a master class in close quarters fighting. Like
It is.
every one of those scenes is just the other films were not able to top that.
No.
In my mind, at least.
You're
But so I go back to Atomic Blonde, and I think some of the criticism of that film is it's deserved, right? The story, meh. You know, the action scenes are pretty brilliant, seeing Charlize Theron do this. But they're also spaced out. So Atomic Blonde is really more of a thriller that just happens to have some action scenes in it. But it was convincing and it was down and dirty. You did get the sense that she was being hurt. Even with John Wick, John gets hurt and you can see the pain on him, but he's sort of like a superhero. My biggest issue with this film is, one, the script is terrible. It is absolutely awful. Essentially, when this trailer came out, I think everybody was like, oh, it's just a female John Wick. And what I was hoping was that this movie would have a point of difference, that it would be as feminist and as eye-opening as Charlize in Atomic Blonde. I mean, Atomic Blonde, she basically was James Bond. She was a bisexual James Bond. She was sleeping with women, sleeping with men. She was using her sexuality. She was like kicking ass. She was being hurt, and you could see her hardly able to hold that shit together, right? But this is just a female John Wick. Ironically, the Prague concierge for the Continental is played by Anna Perriot. Perriot played Nikita in La Femme Nikita, and this movie is just La Femme Nikita, but it has that whole like, I'm going to find out who killed my parents. And even when there is a quote unquote shocking twist, which I think we all saw coming, but even when that twist comes, I don't fucking care. Nobody cares. And then that particular character gets dispatched and it's sort of like, oh, well, back to killing everybody. The script is awful, and they just gave us a female John Wick without any sort of point of difference. And the one thing that I'm going to say is, and this is Shay Hatton, I think you're an adorable, cute little nerdy looking guy, but don't give us a female assassin character and then sideline her with this whole like, oh, you're going to also use your maternal instincts and protect people and protect other women. Like, I just was like, no, why give us a female John Wick, but then give her a traditional matriarchal like assignment, I mean, later it tells us she does kill people, but literally off the bat, they're like, you will learn to protect your ward or your other woman or whatever. And it was like, okay, now they've saddled her with something prototypically female. Like, it just immediately it made me check out. Also, knowing that Stelsky stepped into this, you can clearly see what was a Len Wiseman directed action scene and what was a Stahelski directed action scene. Because one of the things that I loved about John Wick, and I'll get to this universe building that you pointed out as well, was that the John Wick films, at least 1 and 2, they were known for their savage, bullets to the face, like just environmental fighting nastiness, right? This movie doesn't get that until, like you said, towards the tail end of the film. And that's what I want to see. That's the action I want to see. And lo and behold, yes, the choreography is great. I love Jeremy Marinas. The fights are great, but Wiseman still to this day doesn't know how to shoot an action scene. It's too close in. You can't get a feel for the photography the way that Stahelski does, the way that David Leitch does. And it shows, because when those other action scenes come in, it's like, okay, now it feels like it's been directed by someone else.
It seems like he was obsessed with her thighs. He consistently zooms in on de Armas's thighs. And it's like throughout it,
Yeah.
you're just seeing her thighs. It's like, open it up. That's what made John Wick's fight scene
Yes.
so great, was it was open. And he was kind of doing like a gun fu type of thing, fighting with the gun, which is nothing that Ballerina. I thought maybe we'd get something cool where maybe she like uses her feet to shoot
Yeah,
guns
or like,
something
I don't
cool
know,
Ballerina wise, but
does a fucking pirouette and dispatches somebody, but there's like none of that.
there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no. We see a little tiny bit of the ballet part, but why? Because she's part of the Ruscaroma. That's the only reason why, but we never see that come into play. We see her bleeding herself out through her feet, trying to get better, but we never see that come to play. Pointless.
Yeah, it's and you know the other thing too is that I think this has been cannily marketed or smartly marketed because Anna was so good in those few scenes in No Time to Die that her big action scene here actually mirrors that. Like, she's in a dress that looks very, very formal. She's fighting. She's doing all that stuff. And so it was almost like, they've really, really marketed that feeling to us, because when she's doing that stuff in the nightclub, it makes you think about that Bond film. But even that scene is super messy. There was a good movie in here. Let me revisit what you talked about, the universe building for John Wick. I, for one, as you said, 1 and 2 were fine, but you have to move on from, I'm getting back at them because they took my puppy and they killed my puppy and then they took my car. That was 1 and 2. But after that, we did have this open universe building, and it felt very, 10 o'clock Cinemax action series. But I bought into it. I loved the comic bookness of all of that, like the older tattooed women who are doing the scoreboards and the contracts going out or whatever, and then learning about adjudicators, and then who Clancy Brown played somebody, a harbinger, and just learning about all these things, the markers and the coins and all the different continentals. We've seen Prague, Paris, all of that. I liked that. And so I enjoyed that they did do some of this, but it all comes a little too late after what you point out is the monotony. And so I'll do that in the spoiler section, but there is a concept of a village. And I'm going to say The Village because I've been rewatching The Prisoner, which is one of my favorite series ever. I've become re-obsessed with it. But there is a concept of this village that I was like, that's a cool fucking addition to the John Wick universe. But they don't do anything with it. And when it does come, it's a little too late, to say nothing of the defying physics, Looney Tunes sort of action stuff here. Like, I will just say this. Flamethrowers and grenades, in my very limited homosexual experience, they don't act that way, the way that they do in this movie. You are violating the laws of physics.
And if you put an aluminum table and you just toss a grenade on the other side, that aluminum table is not going to protect you.
You know what? I say this all the time when I see stuff like that. I'm like, let's go to the bulletproof furniture store, because no table is safe from a grenade or bullets. Like, you just can't. It's
dropped on the other side, and you're just on the other side holding the table, and you see the dude blow into smithereens, and then nothing happens. The table doesn't even get jacked back. She just stands there and holds it like her 102-pound body could hold that explosion.
And I'm not going to spoil it. It's in the trailer, but there's a point where she jams the grenade in the Asian guy's mouth and then closes the door on him. And then he just explodes outward, and she's just left like holding the door. That would never happen, folks.
I mean, that happens twice. The door scene and the freaking table scene that she just...
It's
ridiculous.
Well, actually, there's more than that. I did enjoy the CGI blood clouds of the exploding.
Oh my gosh, the blood clouds. What in the hell? And they couldn't get the breath right during the fight scene in the ice, where it was like everyone's breath was off. And then when they shoot people, their blood kind of poofs in the clouds. Yeah.
Listen, folks, I still have a huge heart on, I'm going to say heart on, for 8711 and all of their action design, Jeremy Marinas, Darren Prescott, all of the people involved with this, just top-notch action work. but I got to give this the skip. It was so disappointing. It didn't feel feminist. It didn't feel kick-ass. It just do better, folks. There's a better movie. There's a better movie in here, and what they should have done was, I don't know if this is like a DGA credit thing or something, but they should have just restarted over and said, Len, thank you so much.
Bye, Len.
There's the door. This is...
He can't direct. He couldn't direct this. It's so poorly directed.
But he's so hot, though. Anyway, do better, folks. And maybe, Stahelski, you need to be more hands-on with these spin-offs from the world of John Wick. So unfortunately, it's going to be a from the watch skip world. Okay.
Yeah, this is a skip.
Yeah, I'm giving it a skip, and I hate to do that because I wanted to love this as much as I had to go home and watch fucking Atomic Blonde to like cleanse my palate after this badness.
Yeah. I got home afterwards and my family was like, "What did you think?" And I was like, "That was
dog shit."
I should have just left. I actually wrote notes. I was the only one in the theater. Besides, there was an older couple in the very front. I like to sit in the very back of the theater in case I want to write down a little note. And I wrote down a bunch of seething notes that were just tearing the movie apart the entire time. I just could not. Let's spoil this.
Let me tell you, the older black couple that was sitting next to us, we all just kind of got into the ridiculousness of it. We were basically screaming at the screen like, nope, that wouldn't happen. Or, oh, damn, they went there or whatever. So, to the older black couple sitting next to us, thank you. You made the movie for us. But yes, we're going to spoil this faster than you can say the stupid phrase from the world of John Wick in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so first of all, on the internet, people were talking about the fact that this character is the ballerina that was in John Wick Chapter 3, and we do get that scene again from that. But I think that ballerina is Tatiana, the one who didn't make the program.
The one who didn't make the program. Yeah, they got rid of.
Yeah, and plus they all have the same tattoos. So to say that that's the ballerina character in 3, I think is completely wrong. But so the way that this starts out is, Gabriel Byrne comes in. We know he's from some other type of faction. So we've learned about the Ruscaroma.
They call them clans, right? That's what they call it.
Well, it was a clan, but then they only refer to it as the cult, right?
Yeah.
But he comes in, and we get this cute screenwriting 101. I'm not surprised that this is one of the first of Shay Hatton's writing screenplays, because it does feel like, I just got out of class. Let me write an action film, because the setup is just terrible. Like, he comes in and he's like, we knew you, shouldn't have let you come in and be an outsider and marry one of our clan. And now we're going to take your daughter, basically. And then, of course, the father's like, oh, you look a lot like your sister. And then it turns out the Catalina Moreno Cedeno character is, in fact, her sister. They had grown up in this cult. So Gabriel Byrne has fashioned this cult. And this cult, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that this cult is exiles of other agencies. So maybe part of the Ruscaroma or part of another assassination clan. And they've all decided that they want to have families, but continue killing people. And so he's taken them on, and they live in this secluded, snowy village where every single person, the bartender, the butcher, the candle maker, all of them are former assassins. She shows up in this town ostensibly to kill Gabriel Byrne, but it turns out everybody, the coffee clerk girl, the cooks, they're all assassins. Like, I thought that was kind of cool. And it did, in fact, remind me of The Village from The Prisoner, which rears its ugly head again. Folks, please watch The Prisoner. It's on Amazon Prime, 13 episodes from the 60s. It is brilliant. Inspired Damon Lindelof to create Lost, by the way. But back to this film. And so what we learn is that I guess the outsider, her father, was allowed to marry somebody in the cult. He had 2 daughters, and then he took the youngest and tried to escape from that. And so another reason why this script kind of feels not innovative or exciting is because we've already seen all of that. We've had characters come in and out of this universe that were, John was part of an assassination clan, tried to leave, and then they tried to kill him because of that. And so it's nothing new under the sun. And then we get the whole La Femme Nikita. We watch her training in the beginning, which, okay, great. They teach her to fight like a girl. But even that is just, it's just wussy male writing women. You know what I mean? Like men writing women being like, oh, fight like a girl. And then she kicks people in the nuts or whatever. That's not empowering. I don't know. It feels a little bit like the 2-sided coin of using the word bitch as an empowering term. Like, yeah, I am a bitch, but then you could always just turn it around and be like, yeah, you're a bitch. Right. So it just, like all of it is happening and it's terrible. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's so much of and the Morton Joe character is Gabriel Byrne's character pretty much to it.
Basically.
They're the same thing. But again, why is this a cult? What do they do that's bad? Like, they never make you feel like what is he doing that's worse than what the Roscaroma is doing? Why is this such a bad place? Why is the cult bad? It looks like a great concept and a great idea. Why were people trying to run away? We don't know. We don't understand. None of it makes any sense. But then you see him like, well, I guess I'm just going to kill off the sister. Okay, so he's ruthless. Get it, got it. But it seems like everybody who's a clan leader, whether they're from the Roscaroma or whatever Halle Berry's character was, they're all kind of just fucked up. I mean,
yeah, completely.
But I didn't see how that's any worse or different than the Roscaroma. Like, why are they the bad guys? Again, they don't ever point why this cult is bad and what they do that's so awful.
And then for some stupid reason, she's on a job, and then another assassin intervenes and has like the X thing. So we know they're still taking jobs, and I guess they should have beefed up that portion of the screenplay, which was, look, we're kind of like Switzerland. Like, we do assassin stuff, but we're neutral. Don't you want to come and be one of our, pod people assassins or whatever? Like, don't hate us, besides which you grew up here. And all of that lands completely flat. When that revelation comes out that that's the sister, and then she's kind of like, they're having this emotional moment where she's like, why did he take you and didn't take me? And I had already taken a life at that point or whatever. Like, it just all fell flat and had no impact whatsoever. Zero impact. Like, just
none of it did.
Awful. And then you say they end the film just like John Wick. They put a contract out on her, and then she's all like, oh, guess I better go beef myself up. And she walks out the door, and that's the end of the film.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, and it ends with her watching a ballet, and she's standing in the back watching it like, I remember when I did that. We saw you do ballet for like 2 minutes in the entire film.
Well, she was watching Tatiana, and she was like, I could have been that, but instead I'm an assassin or whatever. Yeah, this was painful. I do want to mention a couple things. Cast members, I should have done this back then, back when we did this behind the scenes, but Rila Fukushima, who I adore, she was in The Wolverine. She was the cool girl with the sword. She's also been on like Arrow. She shows up here very, very briefly in a mind-numbingly odd scene where she starts putting the gun together like 5 seconds before she does, but Anna de Armas still puts it together and then shoots her in the head. Whatever. Daniel Bernhardt, who I just think he's one of the sexiest men on the face of the earth. But he's in this as well. Bernhardt has a habit of showing up in these 8711 films, but not necessarily like being a continuity character. So he was in the first John Wick. He beats John's ass in the nightclub. He was in Atomic Blonde, and she's like, am I a bitch now? And she fucking stabs him in the neck. I love that scene. He shows up here. I think is he in the Highlander? No, Bernhardt is poised to be Deathstalker in the Deathstalker reboot. But Daniel Bernhardt, many will know him because he took over for the Kickboxer sequels and he was the main character. But besides that, he's just a sexy motherfucker. I love him so much. He showed up and I was like, give me the popcorn bucket. I've got to, anyway. And then the other person I wanted to mention was this sexy Dolph Lundgren looking German guy who shows up. Yeah, he's so hot, but he literally has 5 minutes of screen time. He gets to wield the flamethrower, and that's it. And so
he gets the best scene, the flamethrower versus the whatever it is, the water hose. That's the best scene.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm looking at his IMDb. There's actually a picture of him barefoot. And but
he always plays baddies. Even in the Mission Impossible, he was in Rogue Nation.
Yes, he was in the Mission Impossible. But let's talk about that flamethrower scene. So yes, first of all, let's just discuss the fact that the stunt work here is top notch, absolutely top notch.
Yeah,
I have never seen this many stunt people lit on fire.
Real fire.
Yeah. And I know that some of it is CGI, but Lord, I think even Jeremy Marinas shows up as one of those soldiers who gets set on fire. But yeah, the fire stunts in this are great. But basically, she has a flamethrower. He's got the flamethrower. This is what I'm talking about when we have that like gritty John Wick style fighting. When they're just flame throwing each other, I was like, okay, this is what I came for. This is what I fucking came for. And it's great. It's pretty extraordinary. But then she grabs a fire hose.
Yeah, the fire hose.
And so then it's like water and fire, and then she's like moving. I don't think that's how that works.
It wouldn't work that way because water and fuel, it would just encroach her in flames. It would just make the flames shoot around her.
Wouldn't it just like slide over the water, like when you put gasoline into water?
Yeah, it still would have been.
Anyway,
she still would have started on fire. But what?
Anyway, cool. Nice try, 8711. Some of this works, but yeah, what a fucking hot mess.
So are we worried about Nobody 2 because they're two stinkers in a row? Love hurts in this. Are we
Actually, I'm not, because I saw that trailer and Sharon Stone looks like she's having a blast.
Sharon Stone looks awesome.
She looks so fucking good. There's like a quick shot of her like dancing, and I was like, oh my God, Sharon Stone, I can't wait. I cannot fucking wait. I'm not worried about Nobody 2. I happen to like Nobody. I love Nobody. Anything else to spoil in this? I mean, it's just there, and you know what? I think the John Wick films also found their sense of humor, and they try to do that in this film, but it all just kind of falls flat. It all kind of falls flat. Yeah.
Whereas there's moments in John Wick where just like that in 4 when he keeps going up the stairs and falling, that shit towards the end is fucking hilarious. And you know they did that for comedy. That whole stair scene is, they just don't get how to use the excessive violence for jokes like it should be. And they learn that in 3 and 4 to kind of have fun with the excessive violence and the over-the-top nature of it. They never do that with this, unfortunately.
And you know what? But the thing is the seed of that idea is there in this film, because at one point she is beating somebody with a remote control, and the first image that comes up is the Three Stooges. And then I think it flashes to like, I want to say Benny Hill, and then there's something else that's like sort of like comedy action. It's a Chaplin film where the house falls on him, but he's standing in the window or whatever. And so that seed of that idea is there. They just didn't follow through on it. And speaking of stair falls, there is an amazing double stair fall in this where she goes down the stairs as does a baddie at the same time. Kudos to that stunt woman, man. I have done a few stair falls in my lifetime, and they fucking suck.
I couldn't even imagine. How do you land properly? I mean, there's just,
So you have to think about like the stairs in some ways. You have to imagine that there's like a board on top of them, and that is how you maneuver going over them in some ways. But you can't control physics, folks. If you've ever seen, have you seen that weirdo thing is it Edinburgh, where they roll the cheese down the hill and these people go running after it, but it's a steep hill, and then they all end up like falling or whatever? Like that can happen with stair falls. So you have to be careful, but like Oh my God. I do not like stair falls. I
No.
really don't.
Oh, and let's talk about
Anywho.
another wasted opportunity when she puts the freaking ice, the skates on her hands.
Oh my God,
her
I
gloves.
know.
They wasted that. We could have gotten some really cool decapitations or some cool stuff, but they just didn't go.
Yes.
Then she uses them kind of like nunchucks. 'cause they're
Oh my
tied
God,
together.
that's so
There
great.
was some cool stuff that they just didn't quite go all the way with. Like there's that you could have totally mined that, slit someone's throat and got her hit with blood. It just could have been better. There's so many
And-
little setups that could have been awesome that they just don't pay off.
And that's where I'm like, that feels like a Stahelski versus a Len Wiseman, because that's what they did in John Wick 3 and 4. They just went for broke. I mean,
Yeah.
motorcycles and like swords or whatever. Maybe that was 2 or 3, but just
Three, I think.
just all of that. I mean, they escalate and they just try to top and top and top and top. And that doesn't happen until the last quarter of this film. And by then we're all snoozing. We're all just like, this is dumb. So that sucks. Anywho, Skip.
Skip it.
You're a SSS. Yeah, triple S Skip. You've coined a new level of Skip. I love it. Stinking, steaming Skip.
It is a stinky, steaming skip shit.
Perfect. All right. I have a feeling your plus might be my plus. So I'm wondering, what's your plus?
My plus. Okay, I didn't see anything else from the theaters. So there's a couple things I can plus, but I think I'm going to go ahead and plus the Troubled concert I went to see.
Oh.
So I know I've talked about my friend Chris Peterson, who passed away from Lou Gehrig's disease. Her widowed husband and we got together right after we filmed last week, and we went and saw Ryan Adams, who's a performer. He's a folk singer slash kind of out country crooner, rock singer, a little bit of everything indie. He's unfortunately kind of got Me Too'd. He was married to Mandy Moore, who there was an expose written in 2019 basically that came out that he was psychologically abusing women and using his power over them, which sucks really bad. But we went to the show because the Come Pick Me Up song was a big part, huge to Christina. We actually, first time we heard Ryan Adams, we went and saw the movie Elizabethtown. Cameron Crowe has a couple Ryan Adams Whiskey Town songs in that soundtrack, and she actually wrote a paper in college about that movie and that experience, and we saw it, and Ryan Adams became one of their favorite artists. So we went in her honor to go see Ryan Adams. He did a 3-hour long solo. He played his first solo album, The Heartbreakers, all in full, which was kind of pretty cool. If you've heard the Heartbreakers album, it was really cool to hear him do different renditions, even like the slower songs. He kind of did some cool stuff with to speed him up, and then he did bluesy versions of some of the more rocking songs because this was mainly acoustic.
Nice.
Mainly because a lot of people don't want to be touring with him, unfortunately. But God, talk about troubled artists who really are so good at their craft. He's one of those. He's really a beautiful singer and songwriter. It's just unfortunately he's a megalomaniac. During his show, he fights with the crowd. If they holler back at him, he gets really upset. If you take flash photography, he starts to scream at you. You motherfuckers, if that fucking flash hits me, I'm going to have a seizure and die. He's infamous. Google up Ryan Adams show. That's part of the fun of going to a Ryan Adams show, is to see if he has a meltdown. Maybe he'll walk off and end the show right there. He might take his guitar and smash it on the ground and tell you all to fuck off and go to hell. You never know, because I mean, he's troubled.
But he's that talented.
He's very talented. He's very bipolar. He's very manic. He's very much a person who's needs some mental help. But God, Come Pick Me Up is just a classic song, and it is a beautiful, sad breakup song, and some of his music is just so wonderful. It's sad that he's so troubled. Luckily, he said that we had a good crowd, and he's like, you guys are actually here to listen to music. That's rare. And we did. We were mesmerized.
This guy is a mess. He's a fucking mess. Anyway, keep going. How was your show?
So you get 2 sets. The first set was, Heartbreakers in full. beautiful, awesome. I loved hearing all those songs live in different acoustic versions. Then he goes on to just start doing different covers, and the second part is when he started going off. Of course, he talks about all the stubborn millionaire women that he's dated who have tried to ruin his career and all the other shit. I mean, he just has no filter. And the guy is just absolutely insane. Of course, you know about his history with Liz Phair. He talked about the Liz Phair album, which he says he finished. It's completed, but her label is holding it back. I mean, it was a shit show, but God, the man can sing. And when he finished the show with "Come Pick Me Up," a really cool kind of troubadour version of it, I almost melted and got emotional. So,
did you flash a camera? Did you flash a camera at him with
screen? Like there was one, and he goes, "Okay, you've been such a great audience. I'm gonna let that one go, but you better not fucking let it happen again, people." And because his set is like there's no spotlight used. He just has like. It looks like a living room with 10 or 12 like lamps all around because he's got Meniere's disease, and he says that he can go and die from having a seizure at any point. So he has to set his stage very particular. And so he sets the stage up like a living room with a whole bunch of lamps, which kind of gives it an intimate setting for you to sit, listen to him croon on his guitar for 3 hours. But again, if you're Ryan Adams,
like in the intimate lobby of a mental hospital. Sorry.
Yeah, Ryan Adams, the Heartbreaker solo tour, 3 hours of beautiful music and insanity. Kind of fuck your idols, kind of thing. Love the art, don't love the artist. But it was nice to hear that music with Lance. He did get emotional. We thought about Chris. So overall, it was a great evening, even though Ryan Adams is kind of a nut.
What does it say about me that like I kind of want to sleep with him with all that craziness? He also kind of looks like the grown-up version of Carl, Andrew Lincoln's son from The Walking Dead. Or as he would call him, Coral. He's actually not a bad-looking dude. No. I'm gonna have to check him out.
He's gained a lot of weight recently. And he's.
I know. I've seen him. I still think he's hot.
He says, well, I went from sleeping with millionaire women to just sleeping with my 3 cats for the last 5 years. So I don't buy any of his new music. I did this specifically so don't come at me, folks. I'm not trying to support canceled artists, but this was in memory of a good friend of mine. So it was emotional, and I'm glad I went. But yeah, Ryan Adams isn't for everybody.
He's not. Still kind of bangable. Okay. So what I thought your plus was going to be is June 6th. This film dropped on Hulu, folks, and it was fucking out of control in such a good way. I need everyone to see this movie. So
what is it?
My plus is Predator, Killer of Killers. It is the new animated Predator film that opens the universe from Dan Trachtenberg's Prey. So we actually mentioned Prey because Jeremy Marinas was a stunt coordinator, uncredited second unit director on that movie. Prey obviously is the reboot of the Predator series. We've got Predator, the John McTiernan film with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Predator 2, directed by Stephen Hopkins. Not entirely successful, but then we've also got the Alien versus Predator series, and coming soon to a theater near you, Predator Badlands, which is going to be reviewed on this show. I will tell you. I don't know. It's weird. I've looked at that preview for Predator Badlands, and it just feels like Apocalypto, only with a young Predator. And I don't know how I feel about that spin in terms of a point of view. And goddamn it, if he and what's-her-face, Dakota Fanning, end up having a romance, that may be the end of the Predator franchise for me. But nonetheless, returning to Predator, Killer of Killers, I don't want to spoil this, but it is an animated film. If you look at the trailer, what you're going to see is the Predator in different periods of time. So we've got the Vikings in like 841 AD. We've got the Japanese samurai culture, and then we have what looks to be 1942 like air bomber fighters. But I'm not going to spoil where this actually goes. But man, is it not only incredible, the animation style is, you have to get used to it a little bit. It's definitely not like a Disney film or an anime film, but it's really good. It is gory as hell, action packed. It's absolutely amazing, and it is a fun time. It is hour and 25 minutes. I think the biggest voice talents in here are Michael Biehn. Yes, Michael Biehn, Reese from The Terminator, Rick Gonzalez, if you love him, he was in The Rookie, CW's Reaper series. I'm sure I'm missing other famous things that he's been in, but those are probably the most famous voices. Louis Ozawa, I think people may know him from, hang on a second, he was in the series Pachinko. He was also in Hunters. And for a time, I thought he was the Asian guy in Predators, but I was wrong about that. Oh yeah, that's the other Predator movie, Predators, directed by Nimrod Antal, executive producer, produced by Robert Rodriguez. That was a great movie. And wink, wink. I'm just going to say wink, wink, Predators. When you watch this, wink, wink, Predators. So, again, not to spoil it, but God, you guys have to check this out. It is a blast. I'm thinking of watching it again. So it's exclusively on Hulu, but please, please watch this. Again, if you love the Predator universe, it's amazing. And there's a nice little tag at the end that's an Easter egg. Wink, wink. So yeah, that's my plus. Predator, Killer of Killers. This is co-directed by Dan Trachtenberg himself, who also did Prey. He's doing the new movie. And then a gentleman named Joshua Wasung. Now, Wasung, I believe, founded The Third Floor. And so if you are a credit watcher like me, The Third Floor is one of the premium pre-visualization outfits. So if you know what previs is, you can Google it, but in a nutshell, previs basically is essentially pre-visualization. So directors will draw what are called storyboards, almost like a comic book. Pre-visualization is a moving picture storyboard, basically. And going back to 8711 Action Design, they would previs stunt sequences, and instead of animating it, they would actually act out all of the sequences. If you go on their website, the previs for the Serenity action scene where she goes into the bar and she beats everybody up in that film Serenity, the previs reel that they put together is stunning, absolutely stunning. So Wasung, he's actually done previs for a bunch of stuff, including Madam Web, folks. But no surprise, he was previs for something called Masters of the Air. That was an Apple TV series with Callum Turner and Austin Butler, Elvis, but that involved fighter planes as well. So please check this out, you guys. It is an absolute blast. I expect the internet to start blowing up over it soon. So yeah. I
haven't seen it yet. I walked into my kid watching it, and I thought he was playing a really shitty video game. And then he's like, "No, this is a new Predator movie," and I go, "That animation fucking sucks." So I don't know if I can get into it.
You have to get used to it. I'm not a fan of that stylization.
I hate video games, so I don't know if I can do it. The Batman Ninja movies have a similar style of animation.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
I like those movies, but I hate that animation style to the point I'm worried it will sully me. So that's why I haven't watched it yet, because
stomach the animation and be Sully, land that plane and watch it, yo. It's good. It's good.
Don't say Sully.
Okay.
Take me back to life. Hey, I've been binging Fielder's Nathan for You, by the way.
Oh yeah. Wait, you said Bring Me Back to Life? Evanescence, Jennifer
That's
Lee.
a big part of the Sully episode of the rehearsal.
Oh. Well, no, it's funny you mentioned that, because I think her name is Jennifer Lee. Is that her name? The singer who sings Bring Me Back to Life from Evanescence, but she contributes two songs to Ballerina, and they're actually really good. Well, I can take or leave that.
And I love
Yeah.
Kate Flay, who did the song with her, and I've been a fan of hers for a very long time. She came out as gay, and she's lost hearing in one of her ears. She's a wonderful artist, but I really hated that "Fight Like a Girl" song.
That song sucks, but the song that closes the ending credits, I think it's called like shit.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good. But
Yeah,
then they
that one's
spliced it with the "Fight Like a Girl."
fantastic. Hold on a second. Evanescence Ballerina. I love that woman's vocal.
I do too. Well, she's the reason why the miracle over the Hudson happened, is apparently, according to Nathan Fielder, he landed the plane because her voice and her lyrics motivated him.
Okay. The song is called Hand That Feeds. So it's Amy Lee. Did I say Jennifer? It's Amy Lee and Halsey. So yeah, I love Evanescence. Although, fun fact, when I got angry at my legal job, I would slam the door of my office and play Evanescence really loud.
I love that.
So people knew if you heard Evanescence, don't fucking bother.
Don't bother.
Anyway, I don't do that anymore, folks. By the way, I have I've medicated now, so it's okay. If you love us, you will certainly love our Podfathers, The Gentleman's Guide to Midnight Cinema, and Not a Bomb. Also, you'll love Night of the Living Podcast, Wild Dream Podcast, Death by DVD, Raiders of the Podcast. I think we've booked somebody. No, that's not Raiders. I'm sorry. Raiders of the Podcast, who we want somebody to come on from that show. Backlook Cinema Podcast, and now for something a little bit different, our YouTube brother John Horgan, Caliber 9 from Outer Space. They are coming onto our show for a movie. We're not going to spoil which movie, but they're going to come on soon. Feminine Critique, and then Talk Without Rhythm with Goro. Parting thoughts, Mike.
Well, get out there, enjoy the movies. See live music, see a film. Just don't see Ballerina.
Although, save Exhibition, even if it's a stinker and you love action, go see Ballerina, contribute to saving Exhibition, save physical media, and as always, be open, be kind, be vulnerable. That's where the art is. We will see you next week when we review.
Next week, up in the air, there's either the How to Train Your Dragon. There's the new one, Materialist, which is what I'm kind of thinking we should lean.
Ooh, I'd like to see that. That's the new Celine song who did Past Lives, which was effing amazing.
Yep.
Also starring Madam Web. Yay! Dakota Johnson.
Maybe Materialist. I just don't know if I want to see this How to Train Your Dragon. What bugs me about the trailers is if you're going to make a real looking like How to Train Your Dragon, make the dragon not look exactly like he was in the animated film. Like make him look a little bit more realistic.
Well, I feel like
the exact same. It almost looks like the Disney movies. Like,
I'm just waiting for the Disney adult fanboys to scream and yell about fucking How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh,
so who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, if you have an opinion, let us know, and we will.
Yes, in the comments when you subscribe, when you feed us. All right, see you guys. All right.